Hello amigos, I am Leandro Melendez, also known as Señor Performo in the testing world, and I come today to talk to you about a topic, very interesting topic, which is how to tackle or how to do QA in general, all the quality areas and management from now on, in these future times, in these future days, and with these modernities that come to us. But first, I would like to thank my amigos at SmartBear who invited me and allowed me to do this webinar, to give you this presentation, and to try to teach you and explain and tell you how to do a little bit better the things. But now, let's get going on with some introductions. As I mentioned you earlier, I am known as Señor Performo in the testing world, but as well, I work as a consultant. I'm an employee at Qualitas Group. I am a manager of a performance testing area, and I provide services worldwide to different organizations, not only in performance testing, but in general testing. As you will find out, I have a little bit of knowledge. As well, I am part of the Pervites family where, together with my friends Mark, James, and Brian, we create and generate content and help people together with the podcasts and videos and many other types of contents. With them, my contribution is that I host the Pervites Español podcast, where I try to share the knowledge, breaking language barriers, where I talk mostly about performance testing in Spanish, but not only that, I talk a little bit more about agile, testing in general, and some best practices, as you will notice as well. Also, on top of that, I do public speaking anywhere that I'm allowed to, such as this place where you are looking at me right now through this webinar, and every place, every location, whenever there's an opportunity. I'm very happy to go and talk a little bit about testing topics, so call me. Well, and today I wanted to talk to you about this very interesting topic that I mentioned to you at the opening. I want to talk specifically today about how to tackle QA in these future days, future coming and present, because the future is already on top of us. Especially, I want to add importance to these lockdown times that we are living in. Why am I through a webinar instead of presentially? And as well, where remote working is starting to ramp up, is increasing exponentially at a breakneck speed. And after these passes, we need to be prepared, as not only the traffic on applications will increase because everybody is now remotely and we have no other choice but to be online using integrated systems, information, internet, and all of that. But as well with it, the requirements for quality and being able to work, quality enables us to work and do not only shopping, not only using, but work in our organizations will increase as well. We need to be able to keep up the pace. We will more than ever be depending on the quality on the systems that we need to work remotely to be able to do many of the things that traditionally we used to do in the pre-pandemic days, presentially in person with other people interacting, and even with systems in internal networks. That is changing as well a lot. These things that I mentioned that are coming, these changes, these times of remote work and increased online participation will never ever go back and be the same as they were before. Many companies, organizations, and us people are being forced right now to evolve to these remote working setups, and a rushed digital transformation everywhere on every organization is being forced on us, on everybody. Organizations that were not prepared or never ever thinking to try to do the remote thing are now being forced to step up their digital game and be able to deliver and enable customers, employees, and everybody involved to work and trade and use their platforms. On top of that, we before all this pandemic, we were already trying to manage all these agile flavors, all these new methodologies that we were lately trying to jump on them like crazy. Every organization were trying to jump into agile. So these type of changes as well are going to be impacting how we do quality. These agile terms, which I'm going to be covering all of them, such as DevOps, CI, Scrum, Safe, Lean, Kanban, etc., etc., etc. All of the flavors that you can think of agile methodologies will be more or less included in this talk. We have nowadays a crazy mix of things coming up here in the horizon, and we must be prepared. We must know how to do QA with all what I just mentioned: agile, pandemic, remote, and not to mention there was a third enemy or front thing coming, AI, which this must be analyzed from multiple fronts, not only testing AI, but using AI in testing, leveraging it, and giving AI to testers to be able to improve the quality. So there are multiple fronts on AI. So given the current world situation, that's one, AI is getting a little bit delegated right now to the rear view mirror, a bit from the focus, but that's just for now. This is just a little bit pause that we are going to be having when everything passes. Agile will be back. So for now, let's keep it AI. I'm sorry. For now, let's keep it in the corner of our vision. Don't lose sight of it, because it's going to be very important, and we're going to be talking a little bit about it while we are right now focusing on remote, agile, and all these increased requirements. So how is QA, quality assurance, and PA, performance assurance, where not only load tests and things, which is my thing, but we're going to talk about everything. How is QA, all quality, all assurance going to get ready for all this, right? This is the main piece of what we're going to be talking. First, let's check what will and is changing, what things are contributing to these necessities that I'm going to talk about. Because, as I said, future QA, but most of it is already on top of us. Most of it is already happening, and we need to be able to dodge it. So let's talk about some of these main challenges that are coming and that, as I said, are already here and are spicing things up for us in these following times. The first one is an impact from these remote working situations that we're living in. This first one is that the team members will be more separated than ever, and there's a big risk of the silos happening again in team members and our projects. Remote work, pretty much for what I see, will be the new norm, the normal that will happen from now on. So it was already happening a lot, it will happen super much a lot. Second, the customers as well will be far further from us. Clients and internal corporative or organizational users will be separated as well. Many people will be sent away working from home, and again that will be the new normal, and for the same reasons we need to be careful with them. Third, there's going to be an increased demand with exposure everywhere, as more people again will be doing things online. They will require quality, to be present everywhere, for systems to respond effectively, to do what they have to do, to be available. So they will depend way more than ever. Number four is that an effective response and course correction will need to be faster, have to be tighter, Customers nowadays have less patience and willingness to wait for things to happen, and our users as well will hate to work in our systems if they suck. Number 5, we will have to enable constant and accurate delivery of designed applications designed specifically for our customers that meet their needs and meet their quality. So it has to be specific for them. Now back to the main topic. How are we going to go through I'm going to talk to you about some of the recommendations and some tips on how to prepare for the future on QA, and how are we going to tackle what are the efforts that we should be doing and what would be best. The first thing that we should talk is, again, main problem that I mentioned earlier. We need, the first thing that we need to do is to assure that there's good communication. Communication amongst everyone involved. So some tips, again, around the communication. First would be that you are the QA dude in your teams now. And part of your responsibility or recommendation, it's everyone, all the team recommendation, is to close the gaps, get the people closer together, enable ways to talk in between them, and get them closer at a safe distance. Now, second, you will have to communicate a little bit more effectively with them, give them examples, teach them the importance for QA to be done, why should it be done, what areas are important, and what are the best practices for it. Now, third, you must be able to give a lot of explanations, be able to tell that there are no single best practices to your coworkers, everyone in the team. There are no single rule or silver bullets. Everyone should understand that there are multiple approaches that they need to take, and they are different for each organization or piece. Number 4 is to create an awareness on everyone. People, again, must understand why QA is so important, why the processes are important, why are they there, and how to do them. Now 5 could be always keep talking QA to QA people and non-QA people, closing those communications and the knowledge gaps, skill gaps. You need to be a light that guides everyone on this. Now let's move on. The next topic is going to be team efforts. QA needs to be done as a team effort. It's not anymore the responsibility for just the QA guy. Same for performance testing, I have to throw this in. Let's go a little bit how to share these responsibilities in terms of QA amongst the team. Number 1, again, it should not be done by only one person, as I mentioned earlier. More or less, the QA person now must be able to teach everyone, but not to do it. It is very important. You should not be the guy doing most of the QA tasks. You should be teaching everyone how to do it. Second, especially don't leave things at the end. This is a very bad vice that has been a historical bad practice from the waterfall days, and it's even more important now in the agile days, all the methodologies that I mentioned earlier, where you need to be careful that it's done. Quality, number 3, quality should be present from the beginning of the efforts. The very first step, when you start to think about a new requirement, when you are at the meetings with all the members of the organization, or the requirement meetings, when someone pops up something, right there and then as the QA person, you should be able to, 1, teach everyone what should be important in terms of QA and suggest what could be done. And again, create awareness and help that all the QA steps are enforced by not only you, but the customer, the QA person, the developers, the product owner, your pets, everyone that is involved in the team effort to generating these solutions that you're working on. It's very important that everybody at every step shares responsibility and does these tasks. And 5, again, everyone should be aware working towards QA until your application at every step, pre-prod, test, QA, until it gets to production. Even on production, everyone at every step should always be testing. Now, moving on, the new role of the QA will be changed a little bit. It's an enabler. He must explain, must share, must implement better testing practices, devices, processes, technologies, but not doing it. It's mostly an enabler. So let's give some recommendations here. First, as I mentioned, as a QA person, your role is more or less like an evangelist. You'll be enrolling people on the QA religion and explaining them the how-tos, how to get blessings, how to do QA, how it is supposed to be done. Number 2, you should keep creating awareness, knowledge, recommendations on the team members about the importance of QA tasks. You always should be teaching them, explaining them each one of the best practices, processes, and what should be done, so that everyone in your team is aware and can apply it. Even if you get sick or you get into a lockdown because of pandemics, everyone will be able to still pick up. Now, number 3 is not to give them fish. What I've been saying, teach them how to fish. Don't just give it to them. Every team should know, team members should have more or less an idea of how to do it, how to do QA, most of the tasks, or not only idea, but really know it well. Now, number 4, you should make sure constantly that everyone understands the best practices and the reasons. Not only that they know them by memory and can recite them, that they truly understand why it is important, why some should be applied at some times and some others not, how to prioritize, what to do, automate, not to automate. Everything should be understood. Now, number 5, you should implement processes and ways for the teams to do all the QA steps and practices, and to respect them, to enforce them, and you should teach them the steps and enable them to teach the steps. Everyone should be able to follow up almost everything and understand. Again, I'll say it until I'm tired. Another element in this talk is visibility. It's super important that everyone has constant visibility, that there's instrumentation in place that is enabled everywhere. Pretty much it's one of the most important tasks here. So, recommendations. First, it is crucial to know every time, live, from everywhere, on every environment, the status of your system, what is happening, where's an error, where's a problem, if it went down. Not only performance, which I can add response time metrics, but to know the status of your system. QA has to measure it. Number 2, you should implement any mechanism that can enable you to report better, to get better, faster, live reports on the health and quality status of the system. It is needed for everyone to be able to look at it, to get notified and be aware of it. 3, I would recommend a good practice here is to implement the APMs, which provide you with dashboards. You can create your own as well. Have visibility of all the pass and fails of the automations and test steps that you are having on every step of your solution. Be aware and visible all the time of the technical debt, urgent items that you need to apply, fixes needed. Everything should be visible all the time. Number 4 here, the utilization patterns and logs from production and even pre-prod, test, dev, all those environments are crucial to find issues and detect and pinpoint and have everything in line. So don't miss those logs, they are super important. Now, number 5 is that you should prioritize work. Features should be done, yes, we're always in a hurry for new features, but when there are problems and where we have the visibility for those problems, we should kind of speed down the features and speed up the fixes. Now, number 6 here, not to overload with information, not always be checking. This is important. You can have an overload of information, too many dashboards, too many notifications. It's crucial for you and all your team to be aware of what is needed, what is urgent, and not to be overloaded. Now, moving on, another topic is that needed is the automation of all the process. This is a must on these times where we have fewer people in the teams, fewer time, and we have not too much time to do things that could easily be automatable, and especially with so many new technologies that we have. So here are the recommendations. Number 1, it should be all these automations should be a key element in these modern times, and technologies that we're using. Everything is automated, should be fast, should be efficient, should connect with each other. Number 2, this of course includes QA. All the QA processes should be automatable, linkable, automate the automation, all the processes, tasks, but it should not only test the automation should check and test the other automations. It's like a little crazy loop. Number 3, the test automation triggering should be as well automated, as I mentioned earlier. It's like an inception dream inside of a dream. The automations should be automatedly be triggered by some other mechanisms. This as well, the triggering mechanisms should be automated. Automation trigger mechanisms automated. Number 4, the test results should also generate automated actions. When a test passes, something should happen. When it doesn't passes, something as well should happen, such as blocking releases, check-ins, rollback actions. All that is important, really important to be automated. Now, number 5, it should include the creation and destruction and test environments. Containers and cloud allow us to do this. If you need a whole new environment, you should be able to automatically bring it up, run your test, kill it, and be done with it, and don't waste more resources. Now, another topic. It is crucial now to automate your tests, but wisely, as many teams try usually to automate all in the wrong ways. Let's go with some recommendations on this to explain. So number 1, this is a crucial part, this automation prioritization. Teams cannot still try to do the QA automation the old and wrong ways. In the old times, they were trying to automate front-end processes, and that was trying to automate as much as possible in the front-end. This is very wrong. Number 2, where all the focus, as I mentioned earlier, was in complex and heavy front-end end-to-end automations. They should be not done anymore, not attempted. Those front-end end-to-end automations should be the fewest, just a tiny bit amount of them, and the rest should be done in other layers. We go to them in a bit. Now, number 3, this traditionally, as I mentioned earlier, has been done as an ice cream model, where in the top we have the front end, and at the bottom we have unit tests. All was done at front end, nothing was done in the unit. It should be a pyramid, it should be backwards. Okay, we'll get into that. Number 4, adding to the ice cream, we should have wide coverage at the bottom instead of at the top. All automation should be done for everything, starting with like unit test, code, and the basics. There we should have the widest coverage possible. Now, number 5, the mid coverage should be on the services layer, splitting stuff, not testing everything that we already tested in the lower layer, and leaving only for the front-end tests whatever could not be tested in the other ones. Should be tiny, very focused. Now, another topic. It is okay to test in production. Believe me, it is really okay. Nothing should happen. You should be actually doing it a lot and not wasting your time in all the traditional old ways that I was talking earlier. Let's go to the recommendations. First, get rid of this old fear of testing in production. It is not longer valid. You should not be afraid of it. If we do the right things, it is important to prepare to be able to test in production. Don't just do it recklessly and just jump into it. Let's go. Number two, the way that we enable this is the releases. We can allow us to test in production, validate and get results and feedback on it. We need to enable it to report us, but to be testing on it without breaking anything or breaking it on purpose. Number three, to do this, we do not need so much automation anymore, as I mentioned earlier. Let your production users test the front end. Just push it and let them do some of these things. It sounds scary, but let's see how to do it. Number four, for enabling your users, you could do a myriad of possible things, such as feature toggles, activate and deactivate features for some users. When you release something that you want them to test for you, you can just enable those pieces for those little users and see what happens. Again, same with A/B testing, green, blue release, canaries. There are a myriad of techniques that you can apply. Number five, this I want to add it on my own. Use my Konami code. This is another way that I refer to testing easier. You just activate. It's a little bit like toggling. You activate some segments of production to be tested. You don't need to do all the steps, and you'll be good. Now, and another one that I want to mention, you should not limit yourself in terms of tools. I want you to have tools, multiple tools. You gotta have them all like the Pokemon. Well, not them all, as needed. Let's go through the recommendations there. Number one, the wrong belief of a silver bullet tool that can do everything and should be encapsulating everything and should be doing all has lived for a long time, creating many biases. Let that go. There's no silver bullet tool. Number two, that idea that I was saying that lived for a long time, happy nowadays have been debunked by the necessity. You need to connect multiple things, agile, respond quickly, different technologies, crazy technologies, so you cannot trust anymore a single tool to be able to do everything that you need QA related. Number three, the needs are very varied in QA, as I was saying. And you need, as well as variety as the things in terms of technology that you have, you should have lots of tools. Such as Batman did, you should have a belt full of all the tools that you will need, even shark spray repellent, right? Number four, one tool should be available for every need and situation. As I was mentioning earlier, shark repellents could be useful here and there. You never know, and you should know which tools are good for you, which ones are different, and you can have different challenges for each one of them. So don't narrow your eyes, don't narrow your vision on a single tool, multiple. Number five, there are awesome tools, as I was saying, that can help you in any particular needs. Paid, open source, get them all, try them all. Don't close your eyes, don't narrow your vision, be open to all of them, learn them, and be prepared. Now, another one that I would like to mention is that, like in a marriage, it is super important now to have constant feedback and take immediate action on this constant feedback. What does this mean? Let's go through the recommendations. First, this is one that is linked to the visibility part that I was talking about earlier. This is very important to have this feedback, probably through visibility, but through other devices that you get a ping, you get an alert, you get any notifications to know what is happening on your system, not only about errors, but what is being done in your system. This is crucial. Number two, it is important to be listening at what the system is telling you through this feedback. What it is, when the system tells you something, you should be acting on it. It is crucial as well. If some users are not using an area, an environment, a feature that you're really focused on, they don't care about it, stop doing it. Act on it right away. Number three, the feedback loop must be closed and integrated, as I said, into immediate actions. When something happens or doesn't happen in your system, you should be getting right back right away some information about it, and please act on it immediately. 4, I have been repeating this a little bit, but a key is immediately, especially under these agile days and continuous integration practices. When you push something, you need to know right away if it's working, if it's being accepted, if your users like it, if there are going problems with them. Number 5, balance from this feedback that you get externally, these new features versus the feedback and the fixes from operations. So you don't become like a blockbuster, right? No? Let's go to point number 6. Number 6, listen and react of what is changing on your industry, on your platform, on your solution, because otherwise you would be like Blockbuster, not hearing, not listening that not everybody wants DVDs anymore and they want to start streaming. So if you hear about your customers wanting to stream, do it. And well, that was in short the list of recommendations and tips that I think that can help you. I want you to understand them a little bit better. Be sure to apply them, please, as much as possible, as many as possible, many of those recommendations. Probably not all of them, since every organization or project is different, has different needs, has different approaches. But whenever possible or whenever is applicable, I highly recommend you to apply as many of the recommendations that I just gave you. It's very high level, but hoping that it will help you a lot. So with that, I conclude this webinar and a quick talk. Gracias, everybody. Gracias for your attention. I hope that you enjoyed a lot this talk. And for now, I just want to tell you adios, amigos. Again, thank you very much. And now I think it's time for Q&A. Who has some questions? Who wants to challenge me on all the babble and crazy stuff that I just said? Thank you for your attention again, and bring them on. Gracias.